Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins kicked off mandatory minicamp this week, but one glaring absence quickly stole the spotlight. All-pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey. After weeks of trade rumors swirling around the franchise, Ramsey is officially held out, signaling just how serious both he and the Dolphins are about parting ways. What's even more intriguing than Ramsey's no-show, though, is the way head coach Mike McDaniel handled the media frenzy. He didn't dance around it, didn't sugarcoat it. Instead, McDaniel came out with the kind of brutally honest, no-nonsense response that makes headlines. When asked if he was surprised the resolution hadn't been reached, McDaniel responded with a line that's already making waves. "I don't personally give a shit about what I feel." That's right. No coach speak, no fluff, just a raw, unfiltered take that says everything about where McDaniel's priorities are, and more importantly, where they're not. To fully understand the weight of Ramsey's absence, you've got to consider what he represents. This isn't just any player skipping camp. It's one of the most decorated cornerbacks of the last decade choosing to sit out, while the Dolphins try to find anyone willing to take on his massive contract. And make no mistake, that contract is part of the story. Just last September, Ramsey signed a 3-year, $72.3 million extension that made him the highest paid cornerback in the league. At the time, it felt like a power move. Miami locking down a veteran presence to anchor their secondary. Fast forward to now, and it's clear both sides have had a change of heart. Whether it's age, decline in production, or just a philosophical shift in the organization, the writing's on the wall. Jalen Ramsey's time in South Florida is nearing its end. What's fascinating is how Coach McDaniel is choosing to navigate these turbulent waters. Most coaches would use this moment to throw out cliches about working through it or keeping the lines of communication open. Not McDaniel. Instead, he's focusing entirely on the players who did show up. "My job is to react and control my controllables," he said, practically turning his back on the Ramsey drama entirely, and honestly, it's a refreshing approach. This is a team that has ambitions far beyond off-season headlines. McDaniel is setting a tone, one of discipline, focus, and a clear message that no one player, no matter how decorated, is bigger than the team. It's leadership through indifference, and in a locker room that's likely tired of the noise, it might be exactly what the Dolphins need. Now, let's not pretend Ramsey's absence is a small thing. This is a guy who, when healthy and locked in, can completely shut down half the field. Last season, after recovering from a torn meniscus that cost him significant time, Ramsey still managed to suit up for 17 games. He didn't make the Pro Bowl, a first since his rookie year in 2016, but he was still a force. 2 interceptions, 11 passes defended, and noticeable upticks in both tackles and tackles for loss. Sure, he may have lost a step at 30, but he's still a high IQ defender with elite instincts. So yeah, McDaniel may not want to talk about Ramsey, but there's no denying that his presence, or lack thereof, is a massive storyline heading into the season. What's wild is how quickly things turned. Ramsey only joined the Dolphins in 2023 after a high-profile trade from the Los Angeles Rams. It felt like the perfect marriage, Ramsey returning to Florida, the Dolphins adding a lockdown corner to their already ascending roster, and it worked for a moment. But NFL relationships are fragile, especially when big money and even bigger personalities are involved. Somewhere along the line, that bond broke. The extension that once symbolized trust now feels like an anchor, and both sides seem eager to cut it loose. The decision to seek a trade was mutual, according to insiders, but it's clear the Dolphins are the ones most anxious to move on. The only problem? Finding a trade partner willing to take on that contract. McDaniel, for his part, isn't letting it derail the team's mission. His comment about handling noise wasn't just a passing remark, it was a thesis statement. "What do I define noise as?" he asked rhetorically. Things that don't have to do with what you're there to do. It's a subtle but powerful message. Minicamp is about preparation, not headlines. About chemistry, not controversy. For a coach in just his 3rd year, McDaniel is showing remarkable poise. He's not just brushing off the media, he's shielding his team from distractions. In a league where perception often dictates narrative, that kind of clarity can be a weapon. He's keeping the Dolphins focused on football, and more importantly, on the future. Still, you can't help but wonder what's really happening behind the scenes. The fact that the Dolphins are openly shopping Ramsey suggests more than just cap space maneuvering. Is there tension? Is Ramsey unhappy with his role? Or is this simply a calculated business move, cutting ties before further decline sets in? Whatever the reason, the lack of a trade partner has turned this into a waiting game. And every day Ramsey isn't moved, the noise McDaniel talks about only gets louder. The Dolphins are trying to maintain leverage, but if teams sense desperation, offers will drop. It's a high-stakes gamble, and Miami's front office is walking a tightrope. Trade him too soon, you might regret the return. Wait too long, and the distraction festers. Ramsey, for his part, has stayed mostly quiet. No public outbursts, no dramatic posts on social media, at least not yet. But actions speak louder than words, and skipping minicamp says plenty. It's a bold move from a player still under contract through 2028. A message that says, I'm ready to move on one way or another. For fans, it's bittersweet. When Ramsey arrived, he was hailed as the final piece of a championship caliber defense. Now he's leaving as a cautionary tale of how quickly things can change in the NFL. Talent doesn't always equal longevity. Fit matters, timing matters. And sometimes, despite the hype and the headlines, things just don't work out the way you hoped. In the end, this is more than just a football story. It's a business story. It's about navigating egos, managing cap space, and understanding when to cut bait. McDaniel's bluntness may be surprising to some, but it's emblematic of the league's new wave of leadership. Coaches today aren't just X's and O's guys. They're culture builders, psychologists, crisis managers, and in a moment that could have easily become a media circus, McDaniel opted for calm, control, and above all, clarity. That might not solve the Ramsey situation overnight, but it sends a message to every player in that locker room. If you're here, you're all in. If not, we move forward without you. So where does this leave the Dolphins? Ironically, maybe in a better place than it seems. By confronting the issue head on, by refusing to coddle or spin, they've taken ownership of the moment. And with McDaniel at the helm, they've got a leader who's not afraid to get real, even when the truth is uncomfortable. The Ramsey saga isn't over yet, but one thing's clear: Miami's not looking back. They're building for a future where commitment matters more than name recognition, where presence matters more than potential. And if this offseason has taught us anything, it's that in today's NFL, being brutally honest might just be the most powerful play of all. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? Tua Tagovailoa, the Miami Dolphins franchise quarterback, shocked the NFL world this week with a statement that left fans, analysts, and even teammates stunned. In an era where quarterbacks are commanding record-breaking contracts, and Tagovailoa himself is in the middle of high-stakes negotiations for what many believe could be a billion-dollar extension across his career, the young star took a stance that was anything but conventional. Instead of playing it safe or towing the company line, Tua came out and said plainly what few superstars ever dare to. He wants more. Not more years, not necessarily more guaranteed money. He wants more recognition, more belief, and more commitment, not just from the Dolphins organization, but from the entire football world. And that coming from someone who has battled through injuries, doubts, and a revolving door of critics is the kind of statement that can reshape a career, and maybe even a franchise. When most players hit contract negotiation time, especially quarterbacks in their prime, the tone is usually cautious and diplomatic. Words like grateful, focused, and trusting the process tend to dominate the headlines, but not this time. Tua, who is eligible for a massive extension, reportedly in the $50+ million per year range, looked straight into the camera in a recent interview and declared, "I feel like I've proven myself, but it still feels like I have to ask for what I've already earned. I want more." That declaration sent shockwaves through the NFL media cycle, and it's not hard to understand why. Tua has led the Dolphins to back-to-back playoff appearances, silenced many of the critics who doubted his durability and arm strength, and played through adversity with a calm, commanding presence. Yet his words suggest a player who still feels overlooked and who's now demanding the spotlight that he believes he's earned. Now, let's put this into context. We're not just talking about any quarterback here. Tua Tagovailoa was a superstar before he even entered the NFL. He was a college football legend at Alabama, where he came off the bench to win a national championship as a freshman. His rise was meteoric, but his early NFL career wasn't as smooth. Concussions, offensive coordinator changes, and questions about his long-term potential dogged him through his first few seasons. But over the last 2 years, Tua has silenced many of those doubts. He led the league in passer rating for much of the 2023 season, showcased elite accuracy and decision-making, and developed undeniable chemistry with superstar receivers Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So when he says he wants more, he's not being greedy. He's demanding the respect he feels he's long been denied. It's rare to see a young quarterback speak with this level of transparency, and even rarer when that quarterback is still in the middle of a deal. Tua still has time left on his rookie contract, but with quarterback deals escalating rapidly, the Dolphins are under pressure to lock him in now before the market gets even crazier. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts have already signed massive deals, and Trevor Lawrence is reportedly next in line. By comparison, Tua's future earnings have been the subject of debate, not because of his performance, but because of his injury history, and that's where the emotional weight of his comments hits hardest. Tua isn't just fighting for money. He's fighting to shed the label of injury-prone, to prove that he's built for the long haul, and to be seen as more than just a caretaker quarterback. The timing of his remarks is also telling. The Dolphins have made a series of aggressive off-season moves, bolstering their defense and fine-tuning the roster for a deep playoff run. This isn't a team in rebuild mode. They're in win-now mode, and Tua knows it. By speaking out now, he's sending a clear message, not just to the front office, but to the locker room, the fan base, and the media. He's not content to be the nice guy, the quiet leader who lets his play do all the talking. He's stepping into a new role, that of a true franchise face, a quarterback willing to stake his claim and stand firm, even if it means rocking the boat. And make no mistake, this will rock the boat. Players, especially quarterbacks, are often told to let their agents handle the business side. Tua just blew that playbook apart. And what about the fans? Reactions have been mixed, to say the least. Some Miami faithful are backing their QB 100%, saying he deserves every dollar and every ounce of respect. Others worry that this public stance could lead to tension, or worse, a standoff. After all, Dolphins history is full of stars who've come and gone without winning the big one. But Tua is betting on himself in a way that could redefine how quarterbacks negotiate in the modern era. It's no longer just about performance metrics or team success. It's about presence, leadership, and narrative control. Tua is no longer just reacting to what people say about him. He's actively shaping the conversation, and he's not pulling any punches. It's bold, it's risky, and it just might be the kind of boldness that separates good quarterbacks from legends. What makes this story even more fascinating is the subtext. When Tua says he wants more, he's not just referring to money or even legacy. He's talking about autonomy, about agency, about having a real seat at the table. Think about it. For years, he's been the subject of trade rumors, constantly linked to other quarterbacks, even as he was putting up elite numbers. He's been questioned, doubted, and even dismissed. Now he's turning the tables. He's saying, if I'm your guy, treat me like it, build around me like it, invest in me like it. And for the Dolphins, that's a challenge they can't ignore. This isn't just about securing their quarterback for the next 5 years. It's about redefining the power dynamic between player and team. And Tua, whether you agree with him or not, is leading that charge with unapologetic clarity. So what happens next? That's the million or billion-dollar question. The Dolphins have publicly said they want Tua to be their long-term quarterback. The locker room has rallied behind him. The offense is built around his strengths. But negotiations at this level are never simple. Tua's boldness may speed things up, or it could cause friction if the team isn't ready to meet his demands. One thing is clear, the ball is in Miami's court now. They've seen what Tua can do on the field. Now they have to decide if they're ready to match his off-field confidence with on-paper commitment. And with the NFL watching closely, every move from here on out will be magnified. Ultimately, Tua's statement marks a turning point. not just in his career, but in how young quarterbacks are expected to behave. He's no longer just a soft-spoken, injury-plagued passer trying to prove he belongs. He's a star who knows his worth and is ready to claim it. Whether that ends with a record-setting extension or a complicated back and forth remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure, Tua Tagovailoa isn't waiting for permission to be great. He's seizing the moment, and in doing so, he's reminding everyone from front offices to fans that being a franchise quarterback today means more than just throwing touchdowns. It means owning your narrative, demanding your respect, and never settling for less than what you know you deserve. And as the Dolphins prepare for what could be a make or break season, the stakes couldn't be higher. With a loaded AFC and Super Bowl aspirations, Miami can't afford to have distractions or uncertainty at the most important position on the field. Tua's comments, bold as they were, might be exactly what this team needed. A wake-up call, a rallying cry, and a reminder that their quarterback is ready for war. Not just on Sundays, but in the boardrooms and media rooms where real power is decided. This is a player who isn't just trying to win games, he's trying to change the game. And whether you love it or hate it, you can't ignore it. Tua Tagovailoa has spoken. Now it's time for the Dolphins and the league to listen. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.